All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is the End Time Truth Television channel. We urge you to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell icon by selecting all so that the next time we upload a new video, you will be among the first persons to be notified by Google. I'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, shalom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching me from. Thank you so much for being there and God bless you. Welcome once again to the channel. Today, I just want to share a personal story and maybe one or two persons may have something to learn from it. You know, I have come to understand that as Christians, most time we are fond of speaking tough and talking about faith when we are experiencing mountaintop life. You know, when the experience is so good, that is when most of us, you know, we come out, beat our chest, ask for this God. I want to trust him all the time. He's a good God. He's this, he's that, and that, and that. Yeah, actually, our God is a very good God and he is trustworthy. And sometimes I've learned also that when we are at the peak of life, that is when we look at some person who is going through certain things and it's like there is fear in his heart. Oh, you look at him, you don't have faith. Where is your faith? What has happened to your faith? This and that and that and that. But you know, I've learned over time never to judge an experience I've never had until I've gone through it and, you know, successfully passed through it. And so this is an experience I had sometimes early this year. By the grace of God, there was a project that I started in 2013 late and continued it through 2014. And as I was doing the project, it was actually a building project. So I got to a particular level where the next thing was to deck the house. And so there was the savings I had with particular organization that runs portfolio management. And so I was hoping to use the money for, you know, my work. And so unfortunately, when I went for the money, they said they were not going to give me that year, that I was supposed to wait for another 1 year. And so at the end of that year, now this is 2021, I'm talking about 7 years ago. So at the end of that 1 year, I went again. They kept posting me, come back till date. That money went like that. So my project unfortunately stalled and other challenges arose, and you know, I lost my place of business and all that. You know, demolition government policies came in, and where we were staying, the shopping mall where I had my business was demolished, and so that affected a lot. You know, so that project remained there, and each time, you know, I went around it and I saw it. It was always a prayer point in my heart. And so for that 7 years, it was there, you know, lying almost fallow, and I couldn't do anything about it. So somehow, late last year, I called a brother who is an engineer in my place of worship, and I showed him the plan and I said, can you cost for me what this project can take for me to just put something on top? And he did. And actually, when he came back with what he told me, I saw that the little savings I have made would, in fact, be enough, because I had some building materials that I didn't finish, things like iron rod. That was actually what I had left. So with enthusiasm, I said, why not? Let's go ahead and do this, as I had this little savings that could do it. Unknown to me, I wouldn't know what happened, because the brother is a professional in his own field. But when we entered into the project proper, after spending everything I had, I discovered that we had just done 1/4 of it. And though we didn't know it was just the 1/4, we were like, okay, if we try and get this into this, it should be able to do it. The more we are getting materials into it, the more the thing was, going and demanding for more. And at this point in time, I had spent everything. I had spent all, and there was no hope of raising money from anywhere. And the danger of it was that, number one, there were people who were waiting to laugh at me. That thing that Jesus said in the Bible, that before a person undertakes building project, that he must sit down and calculate what it will cost him, lest he will stop halfway and people will laugh. He started a project he couldn't continue. That was actually what was about happening to me. And at this point in time, it wasn't my fault, because I actually tried to take cost, to see if it was something I would be able to do. Now, unfortunately, here we were. I had already bought some materials that, if they were not deployed to use, they would damage. It would definitely spoil, and the little I had saved over time would have, gone to ruins, and would have been wasted. So at this point in time, I was left with no hope anywhere, and I don't know how to. I don't know what to do, because I don't know how to borrow. And even if you're going to borrow, who will you talk to? How much are you talking about? And so, but when it came to the point where I had no other option but to ask for loans from people. Now, I had people around me who, on a normal day, would have actually wanted to help, but I guess at that point in time, I missed it. Now, something happened that one morning, when the first time I ran out of cash, I listened to a lady's testimony who said she needed something to do to produce a kind of contract. She received contract from people, but there was no raw material to do it, and time was passing by, and she didn't just know what to do. In her own case, she had money, but the raw material was nowhere to be found because of the effect of coronavirus. And she spoke to her mother, and her mother was like, "Have you prayed?" And so she knelt down and prayed to the God that multiplied 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes to feed 5,000 men. And so she said that she knelt down, and after praying, she went into her factory and asked her workers to bring the ink. I think that was an ink, the little one that was left. And so they started using, and they were producing. The more they were producing, the thing remained at the level it was until they did the very last production and the ink dried. Now, so when I heard that testimony, I decided to try something like that. To tell you the fact, I had no faith. My faith got dried because I believe I had come to the point where nobody could help me, and indeed nobody was available to help me. And so what happened was that I knelt down and I prayed, and I said, "God, you that did this, please do it for me." And to be sincere with you, that same day or the following day, somebody called me and said, "I have this amount for you. This is my support for the project." And that was something I never expected. And I was like, "Oh, that is wonderful. This God answers prayer." And so I was hoping that amount would go a long way to, take care of what I needed. Yeah, it helped, but it wasn't anywhere near what, I wanted. So I began to lose my faith and sight in God. I had people in my heart, in my head already, that I thought, well, if I should speak to this person, they won't blink an eye. I was actually at this point in time looking for loan because I wasn't going to ask anybody to give me free money, so I called people I've not even spoken to before in life. I called people I knew that naturally they would be willing to help me and to take away this shame. But to my greatest surprise, every one of them that I spoke with had the same excuses. I called both home and abroad, and nobody was in sight to help. Everybody was like, "If you had told me yesterday, or If you had told me 2 days ago, I had used my money, I've done this, I've done that. Every one of them that I spoke with, the answer was the same. So the story was the same. The result was the same. And so it came to the point where I had to say, well, at this point in time, I've done the last thing on the list I think I could do. Now, why I'm saying this is that you could be out there and you may be at a point where there seems to be no hope. Oh, there is hope beyond the sky, beyond the cloud. There is a God there, up there. He sits on his glorious throne and is looking down upon us and watching and observing the affairs of humankind. So, I was so frustrated. Now, you see, trusting God is like this. When you travel to a strange country and you have your PTA, your traveling allowance in your pocket intact, maybe you left a country like Nigeria and you travel to, say, America or Australia, and you still have some dollars in your pocket, and you hoped that before you finish spending the one you had on you, that another one would have, come in, and you probably had $5,000 and you are spending it little by little. 5,000 turned to 4,000 to 3,000 to 2,000. When it comes to 1,000 and the hope of getting the one you thought would come in before you finish spending it, is beginning to wane. Now, that is when you begin to learn how to trust God, because you know already that the 1,000 actually will come to nothing. And so trusting God now means that here you are in a strange land. Nobody knows you. You don't know anybody. And you need to sustain yourself. So that is when you learn how to trust God. For if you don't trust God at that point in time, you may set forth your hand to do something that is wrong. So at this point in time, there was just nothing else I could do. I stopped worrying. And so I called somebody, my sister, and I told her, well, the only option that I had, the only person I have, is so and so person, but I know he had his own issues and he would not have something to give. She said, why not try? Call him. I said, no. I said, call him. So I picked up my phone. I called this my brother. And the answer he gave me was almost similar to what I have been getting. But there was a result that came from his side. He said, oh no, if you had told me like yesterday, I had more than enough to give you, but somebody else had collected major part of what I had as a reserve, and I will give you the one I have. And to be sincere with you, that one that he gave me was, it went a very long way to solve my problems. And from the angle and from the area that I never expected anything could come. Now, so God just the areas, the people I never thought of, the people that normally and naturally would never have been of help. These were the people that came to my rescue. Now, when I say would never have been of help, is that some of them I've not really spoken with them before, not to talk of in that area. And some of them, those sources weren't the source that I expected something to come out. And just as it is, the miracle that it was that God used those areas that I never imagined something could come out from to raise me and help and save me from the monumental loss that I would have, incurred, and, the shame that would have, been my portion, because definitely people were waiting to laugh at me. But God wiped away this shame, and I was able to finish this project. The day it got finished, even at some point in time, the workers, those that were working, became sympathetic of me, because what they saw wasn't actually what everybody anticipated, So it was like, it was celebrated that finally this thing has been taken out of the way, So I had to share this with you, and to encourage you. If you are in a corner where it's like there's no hope anywhere and nobody, no human person is available, to help you, now trust in God. I tell you something, God used unexpected avenues to save me from that shame, and to the glory of his name, I have started, refunding them little by little. I've not paid all, but at least I've started refunding them little by little. And as God would have it, I was able to finish that. So the testimony here is that God came to my rescue to touch people that I never thought could be of help. They were able to help, and God made a certain provision that I never imagined could be there, in the first place, and it was there. And this for me was monumental. It is something I will never ever forget. Every time and any time, both now and in the future, when I look at that project, when I look at that house, and I remember the process of coming to the point where it is now, I will always remain eternally grateful to God. So this is how the Lord taught me how to trust him and how not to put so much trust and confidence in human.
Yeah, this is just where the work has stopped for now. Materials have been exhausted, and with the way it is now, I still need about 2 trips of shippings and maybe 100 bags of cement. This shipping is there, it's finished. Alright, so this is where we are. You look at it from here. So I hope all of you are fine. I want to go and lie down and sleep, please. I'm having a headache now. Well,
Yeah, so if you look at the project, you see that the project is quite a very big one. And the unfortunate thing about trusting human is that, in fact, one of the persons I spoke to for money was like, you didn't have money. Why must you build something as massive as that? Man, I didn't see you and started the project. I started the project when things were okay. Unfortunately, along the line, like I spoke, along the line of the project, I lost my business. So, so man will always be man, but God won't chastise you. And so this is a very huge lesson for me, and I'm just sharing it. It is my private story, but I wish to share it with somebody out there. Those who don't know your story, who don't understand you, will, because probably they think that life revolves around them, may want to lord it over you and use words in order to cast you down, like that person tried to do. Actually, the building was massive, and when I started it, I didn't start it because I was going to stop it or that I was going to consult anybody to borrow me money to finish it. But life is what it is. If you have not experienced life in the other side of it, you would think that you are the king of life. So now, not really as if I didn't know it before, but like I said, never judge a situation that you have not been through until you have gone through it before. Never judge somebody and condemn him that he doesn't have faith until you have had a similar experience before. Thank you, and God bless you. This is my story, not for any other thing, but to encourage you. No matter the angle, the corner you are in, trust God for intervention, and He will give you the best of interventions in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. I bring you greetings, and the Lord bless you. I'll be ending it here, and I want to ask you to kindly share the link to the video. If the video blesses you, please like it and put down your comment. Let's know what you think about the video, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Till then, from me to you, shalom.